Hello, crypto miners. We are back for another AMA. We have three. Alpha, do you want to say something? Nope. He said something today. Wow. All right. So we are back with another AMA, and we have the pleasure to present to you Argent, the best of Ethereum, a fraction of the cost. And we have, I think Chad is here somewhere. I see you, Chad. I will try to unmute you, or you have to ask to speak to come up here on stage with me. Yeah, and welcome everyone who is joining for this session. Go and grab a friend as usual, and also as usual, no financial advice during this session. We are just helping you to do your own research. You have to continue on your own after this. And yeah, it's up to you if you want to invest or not. Chad, can we have you up on stage? If you are on your computer, you can't speak, so you have to be on your phone. Twitter is weird like that, and it won't change, so has Elon told us. There we go. Hi, Chad.
How's it going? You good?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, all good.
Perfect. So welcome to Crypto Miners.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So yeah, we want to know more about Argent now, and maybe we start a little bit with you. Who are you to the project, and maybe something about the rest of the team behind Argent?
Yeah, sure. So I'm obviously Chad. I head up all things growth at Argent. I've been here for about a year and a half now. Before that, I was in the fintech world for many years, building digital banks and things like that. And in terms of the Argent team, so obviously started with Itamar, Julian, and Gerald as the co-founders 4 and a bit years ago. Since then, obviously the product's come a hell of a long way, and the team's now about 50 people, sort of spread out across Europe. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's us.
Oh, 50 people. That's a big team. Pretty big anyway. And about Argent, then how did it start and when? It has been around for a while, right?
Yeah, Argent's been on quite the journey. So it's over 4 years ago now that the company started. And for those of you who maybe aren't aware of Argent, so started off building self-custody smart contract wallet, originally on layer 1 Ethereum. But as we all know, while it still exists, that product, which is called Vault today, layer 1 had and still does have massive scalability issues. So we saw gas fees skyrocket, and we obviously saw a limitation in terms of how we could build on it and sort of create more use cases and bring Ethereum to, not millions of people, but hundreds of millions of people, billions if not. So that's when we obviously identified the layer 2s that started to solve these problems, really solving scalability issues, bringing gas fees down from dollars to cents, and of course sort of welcoming innovation like account abstraction that would really enable wallets and others to sort of build better security, better use cases as well. So since then, we've now launched Argent X, which is our browser extension wallet on StarkNet, which is doing incredibly well. So over 1 million users on that now. And of course on zkSync, where we've just launched our ERA accounts, which is just rolling out to the waitlist. So yeah, very much now focused on layer 2s and across the two chains, StarkNet and zkSync.
All right, good. Yeah, I read a little bit about the Argent X. But in a nutshell, as you said earlier, what is Argent now? What can we use it for, or what problem is it solving in this crypto world for someone listening?
Yeah, so quite a few things. I think on one, for those of you who are on layer 1 Ethereum, you kind of know the issues that exist there in terms of high gas fees and a lack of scalability, a lack of new sort of product innovation. So we've been able to bring gas fees incredibly down. We're now executing transactions at much faster speeds than previously as well. And of course, because we've taken on innovation like account abstraction, we're able to really enhance security even more across L1s and compared to L2s, and of course work on brand new use cases and features that people haven't seen before in the DeFi space. So on one hand, it solved those massive scalability issues, which is why a lot of people have moved over. On the second part, we're fully self-custody, so we don't have any access to your assets or your identity, and depending on where you live in the world, that's a much bigger deal for some people than others. But of course, for those who don't want to be using CeFi, because we've seen the issues that have gone on there in a number of years, they're kind of flocking over to layer 2s, and in particular Argent, because they want to have complete sort of bulletproof security and complete ownership of both their identity and their assets. And in terms of the features you can do, so it kind of varies across StarkNet and zkSync. You have to kind of remember that these chains are still quite early, and there's still a lot of dapps and use cases being built and coming soon. But of course, you can buy and store and send your tokens and your assets. On Argent X, you can sort of mint and hold and view your NFTs. And of course, we have a lot of innovative security features that people care about, things like fraud monitoring, things like guardians, etc. as well. So
yeah, so it's an app. Can you have it's a wallet? Can you have it in on your phone as well, or is it only on the browser?
No, so our zkSync Era account is entirely mobile based. Our StarkNet wallet, Argent X, is currently is a browser extension wallet, but it's coming to mobile probably in a month or two now. So in a month or two, both chains will be on mobile, and Argent X will also be, as it is currently, on browser extension as well. But I think the best way to kind of summarize what we're doing, because a lot of the time these things can sound like jargon and quite technical, but we know that DeFi can be a very complex place for a lot of people. You kind of have to know someone or really know what you're doing in order to really take advantage of it. So you need to know what dapps exist, and you find a lot of people have to have multiple different accounts on different wallets for doing different things. So what we're trying to do is really bring that all together. So when you look at Argent's UX and UI, it looks beautiful, right? It looks just like your digital bank, like Revolut or N26. So we've moved that sort of horrible, dated, complex UI and really simplified it. And what we want to do is essentially one-tap access to DeFi. So you go onto your Argent wallet and you will literally have one-tap access to the best possible dapps that you would want to explore, knowing that you have bulletproof security, super low fees, and of course, innovation like account abstraction that will enable us to keep bringing more use cases to Ethereum, but to DeFi as well.
So does it work like MetaMask in a way that you can make multiple wallets within that one wallet, or?
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. So and also about the security, because that's really important, and I think that's what has to be brought out and explained for people to want to engage and change their wallet to another one, right? So how would you explain it to the users in here, and why should they change to Argent instead of whatever they have at the moment?
Yeah, so I would say MetaMask is kind of the old school player in the market, and we're the new kid on the block, right? So we're doing things kind of much slicker, much cleaner than MetaMask is a great product, people use it, but we're kind of coming in there as the disruptor, you could say, for MetaMask. But I think fundamentally, we are non-custodial. I don't know about everyone in here, but for me personally, that's always been incredibly important. We've seen what's happened with the likes of CeFi companies like FTX, where you don't really own your assets, you don't really own your identity, you don't really know what's going to happen in regards to regulation and what that will mean for your assets and your identity, and there's just too many question marks there. So a lot of people are not trusting that route anymore, and they are going to decentralized options like Argent, where they know that it's completely self-custody. I think the second point is just some of the innovations we brought to the industry. So for example, for anyone who knows Argent Layer 1 and our Vault products, you'll know that we pioneered guardians, which is a way of social, but essentially social recovery for your wallet. So in the event that you do lose access, you have lost access to your wallet, to your account, you can assign guardians to help you recover it. And that could be someone you know and trust, or that could be another wallet that you have. So you'll always have that recovery option in the event that you lost access to your account.
So it's not only the seed phrase, or do you have a seed phrase at all?
We do on Argent X browser extension. We don't on zkSync. And for us, seed phrases are a temporary measure on the Argent X side. We don't believe the future of crypto lies with people having to remember a bunch of different words and write it down. And, I lose my mind when I see people who are thought leaders in the industry saying how it's secure and it's the best way. It's nuts. It will never scale. It will never reach mass adoption with that route. So we don't have it on mobile. We currently have it on the browser extension, but it's planned to go soon. And our view is social recovery will be one aspect of that, where you'll be able to assign, trusted wallets or individuals to help you recover. We've also about to pioneer 2FA into our wallet as well. So everyone knows what 2FA is. You have it on pretty much every Web2 product now. And it hasn't existed really in much of the crypto world. So what that means is if someone were to get hold of your seed phrase and obviously try and drain your account and get in, they would also need access to your email account as well, which in theory they wouldn't have. So what we're kind of constantly doing is trying to think of more sort of innovative ways to give people options where they choose how to secure their account. We don't want to make decisions for people. We are self-custody, right? So we believe in you being in control of your assets and your identity, but we want to give you that one-tap access to these kind of security features if you do want to have those extra layers on your account as well.
So it's like a choice. You can use them all if you want, or you can use one or two, or
exactly.
All right, that's good. So, and also because the backup that is really interesting and old-fashioned, I think, with the old ones that has been out there for a long time. I don't know if they are working on similar things, but there must be some better ways than these 12 seed phrase, because someone can random just put my seed phrase into wallet and just get access, It's maybe not likely, but it could happen, and I'm sure it has happened if you have a bot or something who sits and tries for you, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's that two-tier approach, right? On one hand, it just leaves vulnerability for you, and it's not necessarily the most modern way of protecting your digital assets. I think on the second foot is we already know in crypto there's so many people who they talk a really good game about how crypto they're aiming for mass adoption and they want to reach normies, but then they still don't get rid of these legacy processes that we have, such as seed phrases. So for us, it's also preparing for the inevitable future, whereby if I go to my friend who's maybe not that savvy into Web3, but he's super savvy into sort of general finance, and I tell him, oh, by the way, you're going to have to write down a bunch of words and keep that, and if you ever lose it, all your money's gone. He's going to laugh. So
yeah, I agree. It's good. I like that you have a different approach then. So good for you. And we talked about the team. Did you mention how big the team was? 50 people, right? All over the world.
Yeah, it's 50 people, although
I agree.
You said just 50 people. I think 50 people is a really small team, but then I forget that a lot of teams in crypto are actually just a few people, right? So
exactly, yeah, I think 50 is pretty large. There are bigger, obviously, but you haven't been around that long. And how are you moving forward now then? Because you have some new things coming out, and I think you have a token coming out as well, because you don't have that.
No, that's just rumors.
That's
But we're going good. I think growth, for example, has been sort of really taking off, certainly since the beginning of this year. And what we've seen is a combination of two groups who are flocking to Argent. On one, you have people who were really spooked out by the likes of FTX and are really looking for that non-custodial options, and they're coming to somewhere like Argent where they know they'll be in control of their assets and they're not going to lose it because the company's being quite dodgy. On top of that, people know like Argent X, our StarkNet wallet is completely open source, right? So you can see all of our code, you know exactly what we're doing, how we're doing it. We have nothing to hide. So, all these things we keep doing give people confidence of going, they're placing so much emphasis on security. They're fully non-custodial. They're open source. That's somewhere I want to hold my assets, as opposed to, some private CeFi company where I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes and how they're securing my assets. But in terms of the focus ahead, so for us, we are razor focused on both StarkNet and zkSync, and they are two layer 2 chains that are just taking off by storm. And we're giving equal work to both of them, right? So it's about really ensuring that we're supporting the dapps in the ecosystem to make sure that they're building at speed and scale, and then we can eventually incorporate them into our product, so we have more use cases in the Argent wallet for the ecosystem. But also innovating ourselves internally, right? Making sure that we're building more use cases, more features, more security, and getting these two chains and the wallets on those chains to the same standards as our layer 1. Because the best way to kind of think about what Argent's trying to doing is like a crypto super app, right? So one app where you get access to all things DeFi at the touch of a button, beautiful UI, low fees. So really taking out that complexity and being that one-stop shop people go to when they want to do DeFi.
Mm-hmm. And how many chains do you support currently in the wallet?
So we have our layer 1 account, Vault on layer 1 Ethereum, but I kind of explained why we've kind of moved on from layer 1. So the main two chains we operate on are zkSync and StarkNet.
Okay, but that means you can hold those kind of crypto who are developed on that.
Exactly, yeah. So the dapps that we offer and the features that we offer are dapps that are compatible with StarkNet, and dapps that are compatible with zkSync. But everyone kind of, well, I don't say everyone, but most people have kind of coming to the consensus that layer 2 is the future of Ethereum in terms of scaling. So most big dapps are already building on both StarkNet and zkSync if they haven't shipped already. And what's exciting is because the chain's so early, we've seen this massive influx of new sort of young hungry teams building new use cases from scratch. But those chains are definitely still early, but we're pretty confident that as by the end of this year they'll be in sort of much better, stronger positions in terms of the use cases available and of course the new acquisition coming into those chains.
Okay, all right. And let's keep talking about the roadmap. What's coming next? Also, what's in the pipeline?
Yeah, so quite a lot of things, to be honest. I mean, if I look at Argent X, so that's our StarkNet wallet, I already mentioned 2FA, so we're about to ship that in a matter of weeks. So you will have the choice to choose whether you want to enable it or not. And what that means is if ever your account were to be compromised because you mistakenly gave your details to someone or fell for a scam, they would need access to your email account before they could get in. So something very simple. It exists in the Web2 world. It's effective. And we think it has a place in Web3 as well. Another is Web Wallet. So I think it's important to remember Argent has both a B2C and a B2B audience. So we have users, people like me who want to get into DeFi, want to trade, etc. But then there's also dapps, people who are building great products, great companies, and they need a wallet as well. And we're building a feature for them called Web Wallet. And what that means is it's basically an innovative way for dapps to attract more normies to their products. So let's say you've built a blockchain game, but you want everyone to play it. You don't just want crypto people to play it. But as soon as a normal person comes in and it's like, do you have a wallet? And they're going to get spooked out and be like, what is this? So how we've developed it is a normie will be able to play your blockchain game just with using their email address and password. On the back end, the wallet will be created for them, but they'll never have to interact with that wallet or crypto. It'll feel like they're just signing up to a Web2 game to play it. And if, for example, they need to fund their account for the game and pay for something, as a lot of games do, they'll just see a simple on-ramp drop down, right? So something like Ramp or MoonPay, where they'll be able just to fund and boom, play the game. So that doesn't just apply to games, it applies to pretty much any company who sees a use case for it. But that's a way of us trying to innovate and build features that will actually allow people who are not currently in crypto to experience it without being spooked out by the technicalities of it.
Yeah, I like that. Is that, I mean, because one of the features is also that with the Argent Vault, and that is designed to give extra protection where users can set their wallet to automatically block all transactions, right? And then also approve addresses that the transfers can be done to multisig and trusted wallets to authorize any amount above a certain amount. So that means in the game you can, when you start playing the games, you don't have to authorize every single transactions that you need, but
Yeah,
you have
so
them all at the same time, right?
exactly. So that's what we call session keys. So what that essentially means is you'll be able to play a game or do what you need to do without signing for every transaction every few minutes. You'll just do it once, set it, and then you're done. So session keys is another great little piece of innovation, and it kind of slides in quite nicely with Web Wallet. Another one is multisig, and this kind of is really aimed at DAOs, but also has a good security element to it. So I mean, you probably know what multisig is, but essentially it requires more than one signature before a transaction can be executed. So, what that means is that, that's appealing to DAOs where there's obviously multiple people who need to approve a transaction. So that's really ideal for them. But it also improves security because it reduces the risk of a lost signature. And also by requiring the attacker would have to get control of more than one signature as well. So it's a great way for you to say nothing can happen in this account until these 3 people I've approved all approve it. But at the same time, there's that security element to it as well. And then I think, something quite cool as well is like fraud monitoring and stuff like this that we do. Things you see in Web 2 that's quite good and can often protect you from a banking perspective. But on our side, it's like, fraud monitoring is, let's say you've turned it on, you want fraud monitoring enabled, and you're about to send money to an address or funds to an address, but it's been detected that wallet address has been shared 10,000 times on Twitter in the last week. There's a 99% chance that's a fraud, right? Yeah. So we'll never make the decision for you. Again, we're non-custodial. We don't make your decisions, but we'll just give you that technology to try and educate you and make you aware. So that may pop up at that time and say, are you sure, right? So and we'll explain why. So all these kind of cool from a security level, but also down to sort of use cases, the likes of multisig and Web Wallet and 2FA. All these things are coming in a matter of sort of weeks or months at the most, and are pretty cool for me anyway.
Yeah, sounds cool. I need to try it. I'm pretty happy with my wallet at the moment, but I will.
You'll be happier with us, don't worry.
I will be happy with Argent. Okay, I will try it for sure. And do you also have like NFT support, right, on the wallet?
Yep. So you can view and you can mint your NFT. You can send it. So all of that's fully supported as well.
Very good. All right. Let's see. Is there something else you want to mention before we maybe move on to some questions here? What have we talked about? Well, marketing maybe. What's your marketing budget and how you're moving forward now to how you're going to make people change? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but do you have any big marketing campaigns coming up?
Yeah, so we've sort of launched one just in the last couple of weeks, which has been sort of crazy. We've literally crashed that StarkNet as a chain. It's completely been exhausted because of the demand that's come in. But we know that StarkNet's very early. What that means, there will always be a kind of airdrop audience who want to be in there early and prove it. So we launched a campaign where we've launched a series of 8 NFTs over 8 weeks, and each NFT is unlocked by you interacting with a different dApp on StarkNet. So what that means is you're really creating a deployed account on StarkNet, you're funding it, you're trying out multiple dApps, so those dApps can see you're early on the StarkNet chain, and then we give you that sort of digital passport where you can prove it and show that you're pretty much OG to the network. So the demand there has been insane. The first week we had nearly 500,000 people take part in the first one. TVL was over 10 million. So it was, incredible. But of course, these things come with hiccups because TPS is still quite slow on StarkNet because there's a big upgrade coming in June. Obviously, it took a little while. Some transactions failed the first time. So on one hand, it was great, huge brand awareness on the StarkNet ecosystem, lots of dApps getting interaction, which is good for them, and a good stress test for the StarkNet network as well. But the general marketing philosophy is, we're not a paid marketing function. We're not assigning, $1 million budgets and going out there and doing lots of, performance or brand marketing.
Mouth.
It's mouth. We focus so much on the community we have, and we focus so much on giving them as much control as possible, because the best marketer you'll ever have, the best marketing you'll ever get is someone you know and trust telling you to do something. right? I don't know about you, but when I walk on the metro or down the street, I don't look at the shitty ads on the walls and all this kind of stuff, right? What I do, but if I have a friend who comes up to me and says, "Hey man, you got to try this," I listen and I try it. And so we work with that psychology. So we look at every user individually and scientifically, really understand kind of who, what they want to do, why they're on this chain. We make it as great as possible for them. We give them all the tools they need, whether they're trading, whether they're focused on NFTs, whether they're DApp building, and we focus on them being our marketing channels for us. And we're now well over 1 million users now, which is pretty cool, considering how early we are on these chains, and that's only going to get better. So all of any money we do have on a budget, it all goes into the existing user base we have and the product that we have, and then we just make sure that we maximize our users to help us spread the word.
Very good. So I just wanted to ask how many users you have, but you said it, over 1 million then.
Yeah. Well, we got over 1 million on StarkNet, and we've already got about 500,000 on the wait list for our zkSync Era wallet, which is just rolling out now. So it's changing every day, and this campaign has just bolstered it massively as well, and there's still a number of weeks left in it. So I'm pretty content that we'll be a good few million in the next 12 to 18 months.
But you also said you don't have a token, right?
We don't have a token, no.
And you're not going to get one?
We have no plans to do one, no.
Okay. So how do you make your money then? How do you, because you have a team who works with this. It's DeFi, but still you have to have some deployments, right?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to the layer 2s that we've just recently, we've been working on in the recent past, we're not monetizing them yet. These chains are still early, dapps are still building and improving, and it doesn't make sense to do that right now. So until StarkNet and zkSync Era are both in a better place by towards the end of this year, that's when we can consider looking at the monetization aspects. But there's kind of endless opportunities as to how you monetize, right? On one hand, trading fees is probably the most common one. So as demand comes in and lots of people start trading, there's always fees and money to be made there as a business. Of course, the way we've built the DApp is we have an in-app browser. So when you go onto the Argent app, you'll be able to go into the browser and look up different dapps and easily connect to them. And there's always a acquisition cost that can be done there. So an affiliate partnership. So for every good paid user you bring a DApp, they might give you a cut, which is a very good, fair business transaction. Other things people can explore is looking at sort of subscription models. So before Argent, I was at Revolut for 5 years, where I led marketing and communications globally. And, our premium accounts were very successful, and you can look at certain things here as well. So you might get, you'll pay no fees on anything. So everything will be free to use in the app. You'll unlock exclusive rewards and channels and all these different things, and you might pay a monthly fee for that. So you pay no upfront fees, you just get everything covered, but you pay a monthly committed fee. It could be in the future that Argent starts exploring things like maybe we incorporate like a bank account into the product, and people can get a card and they can spend their crypto, and then there's money that can be made there in terms of the interest generated, but also interchange when people pay with cards. So we haven't dived too deep into it yet in terms of what the full monetization strategy will be, but we are thinking now around how can we do that and make it so there's no negative on the user, and it's more just about our partnerships that we form with dapps and other companies. So at the minute as well, we're well funded. So last year we raised $40 million from the likes of Paradigm and Index. So we're very well funded. Our runway's quite long. Our overheads and our costs are super low. I mean, our biggest overhead is our team, which is 50 people, and that's not a huge amount when you've raised good equity. So yeah, we're in a healthy position. Sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not, but we're in a healthy position.
That's good to know, though. It's important to know how the team looks and how it's funded, I think. I see we have lots of people who wants to ask you questions, Chad. Shall we take some up here? Bring some up.
Nothing too technical, please. I'm a marketer.
All right. You hear him, guys. Not technical. I'm not technical either. Let's see. We have K2. We have North. We'll start with them. Let's see. I also saw ETH Daily in here. If you want to come up and say something, you're welcome up. All right, who we have? K2.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My question is, what are the partnership is collaboration? Have you established a tool in your platform offerings and reach to what future partnerships are you pushing?
Do you want to just repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Partnership is always an important factor for every project. So, what is your partner? What are the benefits you get from those relationships?
Okay, I think I get you. Yep. So yeah, I guess it depends in what context you're looking at partnerships, but I guess one example I could use is our partnerships with dapps. Of course, there's a lot of dapps who are building on StarkNet and zkSync, and we want to work with them, right? We want to support them, so we want them to use us as their wallet when they're building, and depending on what they're building, we might want to use them in our app, right? So to actually use their product and offer it to our user base. So there's lots of benefits there. On one hand, by us supporting dapps early, we help them grow, we give them brand awareness, and we help them build great use cases on StarkNet and zkSync, and that benefits us in turn. Some of the ways we do that is we're building so many tools for dapps themselves. So I mentioned things like multisig and web wallet, and we've got way more things coming that I don't think I can say just yet that's going to help dapps build much better products and operate a lot better. At the same time, across all of our marketing channels, whether we are hosting big physical and virtual events, which we do, or in our newsletters, which have hundreds of thousands, we give all of our dapps free advertising in those things. So we don't charge them a penny because we want them to get exposure. So we're always trying to understand how we can kind of leverage that better. And again, in turn for us, it can come to the point that, when these dapps are successful and they're building they've built a good use case and a user base. If we bring them into our product and we start bringing them lots of new users, then there'll be a commercial partnership there as well, where Argent will start generating revenue as a result of bringing them new paid users. So yeah, it's super important for us. And then there's also the bigger partnerships we have. You look at StarkNet and zkSync, so Master Labs and Starkware. We work with them incredibly closely. Sometimes I think our engineers are their engineers because we're constantly building together, working together to improve the network, giving each other feature suggestions on how we can improve the ecosystem. So it's not like we're just sat on the backside on the chains. We're literally right there with zkSync and with StarkNet, building with them this ecosystem together. So I think that's the best thing about crypto, in my view, is the collaboration. Everyone does work in partnership because we all want this to succeed. We all want to be a close-knit community. We all want to keep each other in line and in check. And that's something you don't see in other industries, particularly traditional finance.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. All right, next one up is North. Good evening, North.
Good evening, Mary. Thank you very much. Good evening, Chad. So my question is basically about the vote. I saw that you said the vote would only be for people with, I think, $50K plus dollar. So I'm kind of wondering, that's really large compared to the fact that not everyone can actually have $50K dollar. So what are you bringing for smaller investors? Is there a particular vote for people having less than that? And also the guidance multi-factor authentication for transactions, which I saw that could help us recover lock accounts. How exactly does that work? Because recording of accounts, it's pretty much hard these days.
Yeah. So good question. The first one, there's no denying that our layer 1 account on Ethereum is pretty much, it's always been sort of designed for whales, right? So it was kind of built in mind for people who want to hold large sums of assets with the best possible security. And it was built for that purpose. And it was incredibly successful. But again, we know that that's not necessarily an inclusive product. That, to your point, that cuts a lot of people off who don't have that kind of money. And we also know those scalability issues are bad as well, because the gas fees were incredibly high on layer one, that only people with lots of money could afford them. And that's why we're building on layer two, right? Because it solves those problems. So if you look at our layer two accounts, whether you choose to go with StarkNet or zkSync, there is no minimum, right? So you can put as little or as much in there as you see fit. So it's it's no longer locked to a certain demographic. It's open to everyone. If you look at the gas fees, they're literally cents, right? They're as cheap as they've ever been. So again, that's opening up this world and DeFi to people from all over the world, because maybe $10 doesn't sound like a lot to someone in the US or Europe, but it can be a lot to someone in other parts of the world. So there's been a huge benefit factor there as well. So yeah, admittedly, layer one is maybe not the target product for yourself. It is designed for those whales, but I'd strongly advise you to try out layer two if you haven't. So our zkSync and StarkNet accounts, where those problems you mentioned, you're not going to have.
Yeah, concerning the multi-factor authentication. So how exactly can that be used to recover accounts? Because I saw we can use them to recover lost accounts and locked accounts.
Yeah, so I don't know the ins and outs of this one, if I'm honest, because since I've joined, I've been exclusive on layer two, not layer one. But essentially, on layer one, we were able to regain you access through that. But you would have to go through a whole verification process in order to get it. So I don't know the exact criteria off the top of my head that you had to meet in order to regain access, but it's still in existence today, and it's still there for people to regain access who can, prove that they are who they say they are. But yeah, in terms of the ins and outs, I'll need to come back to you. But any questions I do get that I'm unable to answer, please do drop me a message on Twitter, and I'll 1000% get back to you and clarify anything that I can't right now.
All right. Thank you very much, Chad. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks for your questions.
North. Great questions. All right, Cosman, you're up next.
All right. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. So my question is that actually on this piece, you made mention of Argent HQ being built on the Ethereum Layer 1 blockchain. So does this actually imply that all the assets that deposit actually ends up on this chain? Also, regarding the Argent X, which you mentioned, can you tell us the difference between this Argent X and the normal Argent wallet? And also, will it be possible to maybe connect this my Argent wallet to my normal Argent account? Thank you.
Okay, I think I got both of them. So it depends where you hold your funds. So if you're holding if you have a vault account, so Argent's layer 1 account on Ethereum, then yeah, your funds will be held there, right? They're not going to be held on our other accounts. But if you have a zkSync account, your funds will be held on zkSync, and if you have an Argent X account, they'll be held on StarkNet. So depending on which chain you've opted for, that's ultimately where your funds are kept. They're not kept sort of sporadically across them. Assuming I understood your question right. And in terms of the second question, this is a good one because I appreciate how confusing it can be sometimes. The fact that Argent does technically have 3 accounts and they're all quite different. So layer 1, I think I've explained a million times. I won't bore anyone anymore. You kind of know what that is, right? It's more designed for whales with large amounts. It's on layer 1 Ethereum, and I've explained why we've moved on to layer 2 for the scalability reasons. Then we have StarkNet and zkSync. They are the two primary chains on L2 that are really leading the way, right? They're embracing the right technology, they're moving at lightning speed, and they're attracting incredible attention from both users as well as dapps. On StarkNet, right now, it's a browser extension wallet, so you have to have a desktop in order to get it. And on there, you can buy tokens, swap them, trade them. You can mint NFTs, store them, send them. You get all of those incredible security features that I mentioned before as well. So that's a browser extension wallet, and that's on StarkNet. Now, StarkNet is also coming to mobile. So in a couple of months, we'll also have on our mobile app, you'll be able to get StarkNet as well. So right now it's limited to browser extension, but in a couple of months, it will also be on mobile. Then we have our zkSync account, which is on mobile now. So when you go on the on the App Store and type in Argent and sign up. That's going to be your zkSync account that you'll get currently. But soon you will have the choice of either selecting StarkNet or zkSync. So a little bit confusing, but soon both chains will be on mobile, and Argent X will also be on browser extension as well.
Okay. Also, just another question before I leave. Can you tell us the steps, because I read people users will be able to deposit funds. Also, what are the steps and procedures to deposit assets to my agent wallet, and what payment method are accepted? Because you kept mentioning usage of cards. So I don't know, will other payment methods be accepted, such as depositing through other maybe similar cryptocurrencies or so? Do you get my question?
Yep. So yeah, I think so. So basically, how do you deposit funds? How do you get funds into your Argent wallet? So you have a couple of options. You can either send funds to your Argent account. So if you've got another wallet where you're holding funds, just simply put your wallet address for your Argent account in there, and you can send funds over. The other option is within Argent, both on StarkNet and zkSync, we have on-ramp services. So you can see the likes of Ramp and MoonPay as two examples where you can go on and pay by bank transfer or credit card, and on-ramp and buy tokens that way. So you can either fund it by transferring over to your Argent wallet, or you can go on to Argent itself and use one of the on-ramp options that we have.
Thank you, Kasman. All right, Naida, you're up next.
Yes, thank you. My question is, the Argent platform. The Argent platform said that it uses meta transaction, but I don't understand how this works, even though it sounds innovative. How do meta transaction work, and what benefits does this generate for your client, and where can we see the execution of this type of transaction?
Yeah, so that's one of those more technical questions that I'm going to have to come back to you on. So if you
that's fine, Chad.
If you're happy to send me a tweet and let me know your question, and I'll make sure to come back to you on it.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Naida, you're too technical today.
Or I'm too untechnical is probably the real problem.
Yeah, well, you and me both, Chad. So maybe we should talk about more marketing then instead.
Marketing, business, strategy, anything like that. We're all good.
That's perfect. Thank you, though, Naida, for your question. Great question.
Thank you.
All right. Time flies when you have fun. I wanted to ask you about actually the strategy ahead and long-term vision, because you have been around since 2018, and you're a company or a project that is long-term thinking, right? So
yeah.
What is the long-term goal here? What's the vision for the project, like 5 years ahead, if you can think that far ahead?
Yeah, I'm thinking 20 years ahead sometimes.
Okay, give me 20 then.
You said something, although I think that's impossible in crypto to even think 20 years ahead.
Yeah,
but
probably.
You said one thing I really liked and I agree with, which is we think long term. And one of the things, like the main reasons I joined Argent was just, it was so clear that there was a genuine team who cared and were genuinely mission driven. They knew what they were doing. They weren't taking shortcuts. They weren't just trying to get growth at all costs, because we could have gone on an existing chain, right? One that's already, very well adopted, that we would have immediately access to loads of dapps and try to compete in that market. But that wasn't the goal. The goal was, we are a self-custody wallet, and more importantly, we care about the scalability. Our goal is we want to bring Web3 to mass populations. And I hate saying that because everyone says it and it annoys me, but that's why we've taken this big bet on these early chains, and we've kind of gone back to square one to rebuild again on these new chains, because they really do solve the scalability problems, right? And they have the technology that will allow them to develop new use cases for new people as our needs change as we go on. But not just as our needs change, but as local markets change, because, what's important to us in Europe is maybe not important to people in Africa or Latin America or other places. So that's the kind of approach we want to take, is building real problems for real people, not just trying to do cheap little tactics to make money or to get quick user acquisition. So, that's why, we're taking it slow, we're doing it right, we're focusing on security, we're not building gimmicky stuff, we're really trying to solve real problems for real people. In terms of the vision, so this is my view anyway. I mean, ultimately, Itmar's the CEO, he'll make the final call, but I've spent the last 5-6 years building super apps in the finance world, right? Revolut being the big one. And it's clear to me that there's such a calling in DeFi to have that one app that gives you access to everything you would need. So you don't need to have 10 apps on your phone with 10 different UIs and UXs and fee structures and security and all this nonsense. If you can have one app that has incredible security that you can control, it's non-custodial, so you will always be in control and access of your funds. That it's going to give you all of these additional layers of security, but you'll always have the choice as to whether you use them. You're going to have beautiful UI and UX, so it feels like you're using a slick, fintech app and not some old cloggy DeFi app. And you're going to have one-tap access to the best of DeFi that it has to offer in terms of the use cases and the dapps that are available. So for me, it's not unrealistic to say, that's 5 years ahead, because that's going to take a hell of a lot of work to build a product that's really going to be able to construct all of those things together. But at the same time, making it community driven. So making sure that within the app as well, there's access to the best events, to the best education materials. Users will constantly be rewarded for their loyalty and for using the product. And we'll always think about ways that this isn't just an app you're going to go in and manage your assets. We want you to stay and connect with people and learn. So bringing that all together into one is going to be a huge job. And I would say the main reason it takes longer, like Argent executes at lightning speed, but you have to remember we have to go at the pace of the ecosystem, right? Because if we're waiting for dapps to build their great products, we've got to wait for when they're ready before we can bring it in. Or if there needs to be a major upgrade on the network, we need to wait until that upgrade has been done. So sometimes I'd like to think realistically we could do that in 2 years, but it may take a little bit longer given the steps along the way. But yeah, in summary, one app, everything DeFi, touch of a button, low fees, best security. And finally, DeFi will be accessible to everyone, and it won't be restricted to that niche technical audience anymore.
That's good. I can use it too then. But you actually said, I don't want to use that word because everyone says it, but you said a new word. You said mass population, not mass adoption. That's
I'm gonna copyright that now. That's my slogan.
Mass population. Very good. Actually, I get some messages here. People are a bit confused, I think. How many blockchains does Argent Wallet support?
Yeah, so the best way to describe it, we're on layer 2, and the 2 chains that we're operating on are StarkNet and zkSync. They're the 2 chains.
So if you have other tokens, you can't put them on the wallet,
So if we're not multi-chain. Look, it's one of our biggest requests from users, and I'm not ruling it out for the future. A lot of people are like, why not on Solana or Polygon or these things?
Yeah.
People want that, but we've got to focus. I think I mentioned before, we're a team who do things right. We know what we're doing. We've all built successful businesses before, and if we spread ourselves too thin and try and do everything at once, nothing will get done, or at least done to the high standards. So right now we're razor focused on layer 2 and therefore StarkNet and zkSync, but it doesn't mean that in the future we won't explore other chains as well. But for now, that's where our focus is. So yeah, I would advise everyone.
One time stop. I mean, lots of people are dealing with lots of other chains as well. So
exactly,
they can't use Argent.
But my view is if you can, signing up to Argent costs nothing and it takes no time at all. So yeah, even if you just want to give it a whiz, you don't even need to fund right now. I advise you just go on there, have a look, take a look around, and I'm convinced you'll immediately see the benefits of what layer 2 and particularly StarkNet and zkSync are doing in comparison to other chains.
Mm-hmm. All right. And can you also find new projects on there that you can invest in then directly from the wallet?
Yeah, so we've got, if you look at our sort of zkSync Lite account, so yep, you can go on there, you can trade, you can stake. There's kind of all the sort of main use cases that people would want, but it's still taking a little bit of time because we're still waiting for more dapps to finish building on those chains. So right now you'll get the sort of basics of what you really look for in DeFi, but there's a hell of a lot more to come. And of course, we're exploring new use cases, because again, what we don't want to be is saying, hey, we're really exciting, one of the most exciting wallets in the world, and you're just building what already exists. Now you need to do that, right? Because you need to have the foundations of what people like about DeFi and what they want. That is important. But you've also got to think about what are the new use cases that people want. And we're always thinking about what that next big thing could be. So kind of watch this space for, because there's some genuine, incredible ideas that I'm convinced we'll be able to ship in the not too distant future.
Very good. All right. So stay tuned for the mass population adoption, guys and girls. Right? Chad?
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, time flies, and we have another project coming up in 7 minutes, so we have to wrap it up. Sorry, Chad, about that. But it has been a pleasure hosting you and know more about Argent. So if you have a closing statement for a minute or two, you are welcome to do that now.
Don't follow my personal Twitter account if you don't want to see house updates. Follow the Argent intern account if you want to see funny shit posting. So you'll get me on either of those channels, but the content is rapidly different.
Yeah, and you can see that down here. I was trying to get you up here, Argent main account, but you didn't come up. So
no, I joined it. It's sitting in the audience somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope you come back in just a few minutes to our next one. But also, I want to know what you put on your pizza, Chad.
Not pineapple, because I'm not an animal.
No. All right.
Well, look, I'm Scottish, so we are very basic with our food palette. So I'm just a classic pepperoni.
Oh, I could hear that. Scottish. Yeah. All right. Pepperoni is Scottish. Good. Thank you, Chad. And come back soon and tell us more about Argent, and maybe if you launch more blockchains on it. And yeah, good luck with the project.
No, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for listening. Have a good one.
Have a good one, everyone. See you soon. Bye for now.